So on this, folks, I want to bring in President of Walser Wealth Management, Rebecca Walser, for more on the economic cost of rebuilding these cities. You know, Rebecca, I grew up, I lived on 100, all in middle Harlem, right? And we had all these burnt out buildings and abandoned buildings and just swaths of rubble. For years, we knew eventually it would be rebuilt because it was still part of Manhattan, but it took decades. I mean, how long does it take to come back from this kind of stuff?
I mean, you're exactly right, Charles. This is economic disparity that will take many years to actually rebuild and recover. And, you know, I can't stand when you see people say, oh, well, that's when the insurance check comes in. You know, that's such a naive perspective. If you think insurance is just going to basically pay everything and not pass this $1 to $2 billion cost onto actual insured and business owners, that's not how insurance works, right? If they have a big catastrophe, they absolutely raise costs against everybody. So everybody ends up paying it. Even the business owners that are in cities that weren't hurt are definitely going to feel the brunt of these increased premiums across the board. $2 billion doesn't just get absorbed by nobody.
Right, and do you rebuild? Certainly a lot of companies leave, and there's been so many studies, I've done them on Watts in 1968, all the business that left and never came back. I do want to talk about policy with you, though, because New Jersey's governor is just now introducing a budget deal that basically is an attempt to redistribute wealth. What he wants to do is raise taxes for people making over $1 million from 8.97% to 10.75%. And for lower income families, they'll get a $500 rebate. I don't know how the math works, but it does seem like this is the kind of scheme that exacerbates people fleeing cities. And by the way, not just those rich folks, but these people that you give $500 to, it doesn't mean anything to them if they don't have a job, if their business left, or they don't have work skills.
Exactly right, Charles. I mean, these businesses are all going to think about what are the, environments that we're in, and are the police going to protect us if we rebuild? And if they're not, they're going to leave. But on Governor Murphy's proposal here, it's really interesting because he's projected to raise about $390 million, but the rebate to the middle class, $150,000 or less with one child at least, is going to cost $350,000. So you're basically only raising a net $40 million while you're raising taxes to really one of the highest levels in the country, behind California and Connecticut. And I'm looking at this, Charles, from a perspective of there's a lot of people that live in Jersey to escape Manhattan taxes that commute, and they might not want to make that commute anymore because maybe they can work remote now after coronavirus. So they're going to be able to make a vote with their feet and leave the state of New Jersey. And we've seen this in European countries. We've seen that most recently in France in 2017 when Macron repealed their basically equivalent of wealth taxes on the wealthy. And this is what happens all the time. People will eventually get to a point where they will leave and not stay and pay those higher taxes when there's other tax options available in a 50-state country.
There's a difference between organically growing an economy and these kind of schemes that ultimately hurt everyone. Rebecca, always appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Charles.